June 11, 1962, the impenetrable fortress of Alcatraz, a maximum security prison sitting atop a jagged rock in the middle of San Francisco Bay, was built to be inescapable. Surrounded by icy waters and treacherous currents, no prisoner had ever successfully broken free. But that night, as the guards made their rounds, they discovered something chilling. 3 inmates had vanished into thin air, leaving behind only a meticulously crafted illusion of their presence. The escapees, Frank Morris, a mastermind with an IQ of 133, and the Anglin brothers, John and Clarence, hardened criminals with a history of prison breaks, had spent months orchestrating the impossible. With nothing but crude tools, they had chiseled away at the vent openings in their cells, carefully concealing their work with cardboard and paint. The sound of their labor was masked by the roar of a prison accordion played by an unsuspecting inmate. What the guards didn't know was that behind the cells, a secret passageway was forming, one that led to an unguarded utility corridor. By the time their absence was noticed, they were already gone. The audacity of their escape was matched only by their ingenuity. They fashioned a makeshift raft and life vests from over 50 stolen raincoats, painstakingly stitched together using prison glue and thread. They even created dummy heads, sculpted from soap, toilet paper, and real human hair scavenged from the prison barbershop, which they placed in their beds to deceive the guards during nighttime headcounts. The plan was executed with military precision. On the night of June 11th, they wriggled through the vent openings, crawled through the corridor, climbed up a network of pipes, and slipped through a ventilator shaft onto the roof. From there, they descended the walls, evading spotlights and armed guards, and reached the shoreline. The last known trace of them was a makeshift paddle and a floating bag of personal belongings found drifting in the bay. But there was more. Authorities would later find footprints on the nearby Angel Island, suggesting they may have made it across the treacherous waters after all. The question remained, did they survive the elements and vanish into the world beyond? The ensuing manhunt was one of the largest in U.S. history. FBI agents scoured the waters, searching for bodies, while the Coast Guard patrolled the coastline. Officials were adamant no one could survive the freezing waters and relentless currents. Yet, no bodies were ever found. A packet of letters sealed in rubber was recovered near the Golden Gate Bridge, but it provided no concrete clues. In the days that followed, rumors spread among the inmates. Had Morris and the Anglins actually pulled off the impossible? Or were their bodies simply lost to the merciless waters? For 17 years, the FBI pursued every lead before finally closing the case in 1979, declaring the men presumed drowned. But whispers of their survival refused to fade. Sightings surfaced, a grainy photograph allegedly showing the Anglin brothers in Brazil, a deathbed confession from a man claiming to have aided their escape, and a letter sent to the FBI in 2013, purportedly written by John Anglin, claiming they had survived and lived in secret for decades. "I'm 83 years old and in bad shape," the letter read. "I want to come home." As investigators dissected the escape, strange details emerged. A fisherman claimed to have seen a raft with 3 men drifting near the Golden Gate Bridge in the early hours of June 12th, but his statement was dismissed. Another witness, a woman, reported seeing 3 wet, shivering men in a stolen Chevrolet hours after the breakout, yet authorities brushed it off as speculation. The prisoners had left behind a map, drawn crudely on a scrap of fabric, that pointed to an obscure location along the California coastline, a place never thoroughly searched. Former Alcatraz inmates came forward with cryptic claims, hinting that the trio had outside help, possibly from an underground network assisting prison escapees. An ex-convict once claimed that a boat had been waiting for the 3 men that night, ready to whisk them away under the cover of darkness. Meanwhile, forensic analysts scrutinized the infamous Brazil photograph, debating its authenticity. Could it truly be the Anglins, aged but alive? The U.S. Marshal Service, which still considers the case open, has continued the search, with new age progression photos released, depicting what the men would look like today. Perhaps the most eerie aspect of the Alcatraz escape is the prison itself, standing as a silent witness to the mystery. Former guards and visitors have reported unexplained noises, shadows flickering through the abandoned cell blocks, and whispers carried by the wind. Some believe the spirits of the vanished men still linger, trapped between two worlds, one of confinement and the other of freedom. Inmates who remained on Alcatraz after the escape reported hearing phantom footsteps in the dead of night, the soft sound of water dripping endlessly in empty cells, and the distant sorrowful echoes of a harmonica, a sound Frank Morris was known for playing. Did Morris and the Anglins conquer the impossible, vanishing into the shadows of history? Or did the Bay claim them, their bodies lost to the depths forever? Decades later, the escape remains one of the greatest enigmas in criminal history, an enduring legend that still haunts the halls of Alcatraz, where the sound of the sea collides with the whispers of the past, and the ghosts of the vanished prisoners seem to linger, waiting for the truth to surface.